Hello everyone, and welcome to our virtual field trip for GEOS1100 Environment and Society. Our field trip today takes us to Redlands City, also known as Redlands or Redlandshire. The area is located to the southeast of the Brisbane metropolitan area and covers parts of Moreton Bay. It includes the suburbs Cleveland, Victoria Point, and Redland Bay, as well as North Stradbroke Island and the islands that are in between those. The actual Shire, with a population of 1,600, roughly 160,000 people, attained city status in 2008 and became a Shire by the merger of Tingalpa and the Cleveland Shire in 1949. Despite that relatively large population and the city status, the actual Shire is relatively dispersed in larger suburban areas that are separated by bushland. The area has many features that we have discussed in the lectures, and we want to use this field trip to reiterate some of the knowledge that we have gained over the course of the semester. The field book contains a little bit of extra information and has also a couple of questions on some of the activities that we are doing during this field trip. Make some notes and please look up some extra information on the internet, on the area, and on some of the type of analyses and activities that we do. Let us know if you have some questions. We're more than happy to answer some questions. The course team is here to help you. So come along and enjoy this field trip.
Okay, so today's field trip is going to the Redlandshire, which is a little bit east of Brisbane. So you can see here part of southeast Queensland. There is North Stradbroke Island and Moreton Island here. This is Brisbane here, UQ is here, and we're going to this area down here that is on Moreton Bay. All right, so we start here at St. Lucia and we drive around the city and get finally to Cleveland, right? So Cleveland is here at the end, at the coast of Moreton Bay. And this is where our first stop is. Our first stop will be here on Ross Creek. So we will walk along this creek here and we will look at some of the channel features that we have here, and we will look also at some water quality. We will blend in these videos in a minute. So we get off here and walk along that creek. So we've got another site in this area here, and this creek continues here through the suburb. There is a third site about here, and then we continue along here. We will cross the road, and then the creek basically ends here in this little reserve up here. Okay, so this is the first site that we're going to visit. The second site that we're going to visit is Victoria Point. So we go then from here through Thornlands onto Victoria Point, that is here in this area. Let me zoom out a little bit so that you get a perspective. We have got Cuchimundo Island here. We see this from the ferry terminal that we have here, and you will have a couple of videos that are shot in underneath this little bus stop here. Okay, so this gives us an idea on Moreton Bay, and we look at a little bit at the geomorphology of Moreton Bay here. And once we have done this, we walk along this little beach where we look at a little bit of coastal processes and coastal management. So there are a couple of seawalls here. We will talk about this, a couple of outcrops that help us understand a little bit the soil profiles, etc.
We will then go down to Redland Bay, and in Redland Bay we will have a look at some suburban development. So we have talked about some of the pressures on coastal areas, and some of this is in particular through urban development, and the urban sprawl in some of these areas is relatively large. So we will have a look at some of these suburban areas. We will drive through it and we'll show you some footage of the buildings and some of the estates that are currently being built. From Redland Bay, we go towards the west to a suburb that is called Ringwood Downs. So this suburb here is an eco-type development where people try to live a more sustainable way, where the housing estates are basically in a forested area, and they are very dispersed across this suburb here. We will talk a little bit about the pros and cons of this type of development. This is the last station of our field trip, and it concludes the field trip. So from here we're basically going back to UQ, which sits up here. Have a look at the different files that are linked to this virtual field trip. We have some exercise on this in the field trip booklet. And feel free to ask us any questions via email.